quick.
All right. So in your review,
Okay.
you're going to see this right here where it says you do need to know these basic conversions. You have to have these. You have to know what they are because they're not going to be given to you on your test. Now, if you're having trouble memorizing those, what I recommend doing is create a habit of writing it down every single time you sit down to do and practice some of these problems. And
Okay.
then the first thing you should do when you get your test, or even if it's a Blackboard test and you're going to write it on some scratch paper, write these out. And then what'll happen is you'll get in the habit of writing them out, and hopefully you don't forget to forget any of them. But if you write those out every single time, it'll become a habit, and hopefully that habit will spill over to when you actually take the test. And that would be step one of knowing what to do with these questions when you're kind of like starting out. So that's what I would recommend first and foremost, is just look at it up every single time until you can get to a point where you don't have to look at it when you write it out. But write them out in the same order I have it highlighted there: your grams, your milligrams, your liters, your kilograms. Even if you know it, write it out, just because it'll be good practice.
So yeah, I wonder if they're okay like during that test or exam. I wonder if they're okay to have it a copy because I would say like maybe I cannot grade it, like I will not pass because I do not.
Yeah, so I will tell you, they will not give you this because you do need to know how to write it. But you can, once you get your test, you can write this on your test, but you need to practice writing it down. And that, like I said,
Okay, okay. So that
yeah,
like it sounds like at least, yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
okay.
Like practice to write this one.
Mm-hmm. Write
Yeah,
them all, write all those conversions down every single time you go to practice. And I know that that's not a guarantee that it's going to stick and that you'll remember it 100%, but you might
yeah.
get some muscle memory of actually writing it down, and that can help you to remember it, or at least know, like, kind of intuitively what to do when you come up with a problem like converting milligrams to grams or micrograms to milligrams or milliliters to liters. You'll at least remember that either of any of those three is 1,000. So at least you know the number and you'll be in the ballpark, and then you can kind of, with practice, go through and it's a lot of
Yeah.
this unfortunately just comes down to practice, practice, practice. Which is why I'm doing these with you, like these review sessions with you, or these intro sessions, I guess is a better example. And then I record them, I post them up for you on YouTube, so you can kind of review them more. And then I've even kept up the previous review sessions I've done for 110 over the past few years. So there's lots of practice and also lots of me talking to kind of help guide you through this. And then, but just practice.
This drug calculation, we will having this one like until like up to 2 years, right? Like every semester.
Correct. Yeah. So the first one you'll take, I guess it's what, not next week, but the week after. And
Yeah.
then for second, third, and fourth semester, you will take your test like day one before classes start. Or actually, I mean, classes will probably start, but it'll be that first lab section. So week one, you'll have your dosage calc test for second, third, and fourth semester. And then third semester, when you do pediatrics, you're going to have a separate pediatric dosage calculation test that you'll do during the semester. And then you'll get prepped for that as well.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
I know you said that those ones are like on the first day. Is it going to be like this, or is it going to have more in depth into solving the problems?
Yeah, there's going to be the questions, the main part of the questions are going to be very similar, but there will be some additional questions that you won't be introduced until you attend my other review sessions, but a lot of it is just
Before we
flow
start
rate questions.
going over the review session for the next class, do you have sessions at the, like, are your sessions like geared like towards like the whole class, or do you start your sessions up again towards the end of the semester to prepare us for the following semester?
So the week before classes start, I do 2 like marathon sessions. They're marathon for me, but you can jump on whenever. And you can actually, if you go onto my YouTube channel, you can see where I've recorded those. And basically what I do is I do 2 hours on Tuesday and 2 hours on Thursday for each of the like for 130, which is second semester, 220, 230, which is third semester, and then 240, which is fourth semester. I do 2 hours on Tuesday and 2 hours on Thursday.
2 hours for each session?
2 hours for each section, but it's like an hour in the early afternoon, hour in the later afternoon, and then we do those review sessions. And then in the event that I can't do the review sessions, or they decide that they're not going to have me do those anymore, I've recorded them. They're on YouTube. So there's a whole lot of stuff for you.
Okay. And then I just have one final question. So I had sent you an email.
Yes. And Noel, I thought you were at Boyce. So I went over that during the Boyce section but I will answer your question right now if you want.
Okay, let me pull it up because I don't have the packet in front of me. I just pull the attachment up that I sent to you because I had a picture of it. And the first one with the chart, I ended up watching your YouTube, so I understood that one. I end up looking at the thing on YouTube.
Okay. You're talking about for this one, the unison one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll still go over it because I think it'll be beneficial for everybody else that's on. So I will I'll just mention it just because it's helpful again sometimes just to see it, but I'm glad that you were able to get what I was saying to you. So
okay, and then my question was, so on the packet that starts off like 1700, number 1 for the conversion.
Yep.
Question number 5. I don't know if you have that packet in front of you.
I do. Let me before I do that, since I'm already here, let me go ahead and do this the reconstitution questions real quick, and then I'll jump up to that. Is that okay?
That's fair.
Okay. All right. So these are examples of what are called reconstitution questions. So I can annotate here. So reconstitution just means, and sometimes if you go to one, this does not want to help me write. Whatever. All right. So reconstitution questions. And what that means is this unison comes in a powdered form, and then they're going to add water and to create a dilution factor. And then that's what you need in order to solve this problem. So you look at first and foremost your order, 1750 milligrams IM every 6 hours. Intramuscular tells you that it's injectable, which tells you that you're going to be looking for milliliters in your final answer. So when you know that, and I'm going to explain this just a slightly different way than I've probably done this before. When the order is milligrams and they ask you for milliliters, essentially what you're looking for is, how do I go from milligrams to milliliters? Is there a path? Can I do that? And the answer for these is yes. And it just depends on if we're talking about, and you can do that one of 2 ways. You can do dimensional analysis, or you can do the order over available, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Now, if this were a label, you would see this on the side of the label, and it'll tell you that you have 2 vials. One is 1.5 grams, one is 3 grams. It'll tell you how much volume of diluent to add. So either 3.2 to the 1.5 gram or 6.4 to the 3 gram. and then it'll tell you your total volume after you've added the sterile water to the powder. Okay. So from a math standpoint, you do not care about that section. You don't need to worry about the 3.2. You don't need to worry about the 6.4. That just tells the pharmacy really how much water to add to get to our substance. Now, this question tells you that to use the 3-gram vial. Okay. So I'm not even going to worry about looking at the 1.5-gram vial. But I will say, if you accidentally do this with the 1.5-gram vial, you're going to get the exact same answer. So when I'm looking for what my available is going to be the grams, 3 grams over the whole volume of 8. So my available is 3 grams per 8 milliliters. Again, I'm just using the information that's here on the label to get to that information. And this is, like I said, it's an example of what's called a reconstitution type of question. If you were at Boyce campus, they're going to utilize a different strategy for labeling. They're going to utilize, or they're going to show an actual label, drug label for reconstitution, and then they're going to have to get the same information, but by looking at a copy of a label. All right, so we have a little bit of a problem here. The problem is I have 1,750 milligrams, but then I have 3 grams as my available dose. So I need to either convert milligrams to grams or grams to milligrams. And in reality, it doesn't really matter what you do. It's just whatever you feel most comfortable with. Me personally, I'm fine either way. So we can do it either way. If I'm going to convert 1,750 milligrams to grams, I can do this a couple different ways. The way that I prefer to do it is I just take my decimal point that's at the 0 and I move it over 1, 2, 3 places. And then 1,750 milligrams becomes 1.75 grams. Do not round that number. Just leave it at 1.75 grams. Okay. Alternatively, if I know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, then we know that 3 grams is 3,000 milligrams. Okay. So I can, either way, I can move my decimal. I can convert grams to milligrams or milligrams to grams, but they both have to be in the same unit in order to do any kind of math. So I think and I'm just going to write this here. I'll just say that would become 3,000.
Because 3 times 1,000.
Yep, 3 times 1,000. So I'm going to take my order, 1,750, divided by, that's milligrams, divided by 3,000 milligrams, times my quantity. So here I'm just doing the ordered over half, times, or order over available, times the 8 milliliters. And then I'm just going to do 1,750 pull up my calculator. 1,750 times 8 divided by 3,000. And what I'm going to get is 4.6666666. I'm going to get a whole bunch of repeating numbers. And we're going to round that to the nearest 10th.
So we don't need to convert the 8 millimeters, just the 3.
Correct. Yeah, because we want to leave it in milliliters.
Because they're asking milliliters.
Correct. Yeah, because the question asks you to do it in milliliters.
So what happened if grams? Now, for example, what happened if they will ask grams? So you don't need to convert the 3 grams, right?
Right. So, well, they'll never, you wouldn't administer a medication in grams or milligrams. It would either be capsules, tablets, or milliliters. So, or units if we're talking about insulin or heparin. So milliliters would be how you would administer this medication. Like you can't give somebody and inject them with grams. Because grams indicates that it's like a powder, not a liquid. Does that make sense?
Good question. Why did you cross this one that, the 6.4 ml, the one in the volume of dilutate to be added?
Because we don't care for that we don't need that information to do the math that we need to do what's these problems. So like if I were to go up to some of the other questions in this practice set, like those, like a question about dilantin. Dilantin is available in 125 milligrams per 5 ml. So that's the information you need in order to do these calculations. And then the question tells you that it's to use the 3 gram vial. I need to know that the amount of medication is 3 grams, and then I need to know the total volume, and the total volume is 8 milliliters. So the volume of diluent added is just what the pharmacy would add to the 3 gram powder to get to the usable medication. Because like I said before, you can't inject powder into somebody. You want to inject a liquid into the person. So so that's why you would ignore volume of diluent added. And then when I do number 18 here in just a second, it's the same principle, but the concentration is a little bit more clearly stated. All right. So for 18, our order is Pfizer pen, 375,000 units, intramuscular, Q6H means every 6 hours. Then we have the label would show a couple things. You have milliliters diluent added, and then you have your units per milliliter solution. Remember, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go from 375,000 units to milliliters. So I just need a way to go from units to milliliters. So if I have a concentration already stated, the units per milliliter, that's what I want to use for calculating my concentration. This just tells the pharmacy how many milliliters to add to get to the concentrations listed over here. So anytime you see milliliters diluent added, that is something you can go ahead and ignore for these types of questions. Just cross it out. The first thing I would do is I'd get in the habit of just crossing that out. Don't even look at those numbers because they will not help you to answer the question. What you need to know is what is the concentration of the reconstitution for this particular order. Now, it also tells you want to choose the strongest concentration. And so I'm going to look at my 3 concentrations here. I have a concentration of 250,000 units, 500,000 units per milliliter, and then 1 million units per milliliter. So we're going to choose the one that has the most units per milliliter because that would be your strongest concentration. And the reason we know that is because 1 million is greater than 500,000 and 1 million is also greater than 250,000. So you're going to use this number for your calculation. So I'm going to take my order, the 375,000. I'm going to divide by 1 million. And then if you're like me and you see these numbers and you get a little bit overwhelmed with the quantity here, what you're going to do is take the same number of zeros. So there's 3 on top and there's 3 down here. 375 over 1,000. You're less likely to make a mistake on your calculator when you're plugging that in. So it's 375 divided by 1,000 will give you an answer. I'm just going to write it over here of 0.375 milliliters. What do you think I need to do with that answer? Or is that my answer?
0.4.
Okay. I'm glad that you said that. It would not be 0.4.
Okay.
It's just the answer. It stays the same.
So, and then it would
Oh,
not be left alone.
Would
But-
it be 0.38?
You got it. We have to round it to the nearest 100th place because it's a number less than 1. So when you have a number less than 1, you round to the nearest 100th. If it's a number greater than 1, you would round to the nearest 10th. And so that's part of your rounding rules that you also need to know, which is in the intro part of your packet, where it tells you like the unit conversions. You'll see the rounding rules that are there. And then I also went over that a couple weeks ago. So if you missed that, just please go back to and watch some of the YouTube videos that were posted recently for Allegheny 110. And you'll see that I cover the rounding rules just to make sure that you have those.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, you could have this as an answer. 0.375 could be your answer if your syringe goes down to the thousandths, which there are syringes that do that. So it is possible, but if there's no syringe, like they don't tell you to shade or mark a syringe or anything like that, then the rule is if it's a number less than 1, so 0.9 and fewer, then you're going to round to the nearest 100th place. And if it's a number greater than 1, so like 1.1 or greater, then you would round to the nearest 10th if needed. All right.
This question kind of ties into number 5,
Okay. So give me 1 second. Let me turn
or
off.
rounding and stuff go.
I have class in a little bit, so I have to get off of here. Would you have this posted for later?
I will have it posted. If not today, definitely tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So number 5, and I'm going to see if we're even on the same page here. Is it
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah, so the answer is 0.25, but when I looked in the packet, I mean, that's the answer. That's what I got on the calculator. But why wouldn't it be rounded up to 0.03 if you calculate to the nearest 1,000 and you round to the nearest 100?
Good. So the other caveat to the rounding rules is for questions like these, like the metric to metric conversions, do not round your answer. So when you go from micrograms to milligrams, milligrams to grams, milliliters to liters, you do not round those answers.
So which ones do you round? Just pounds and kilograms?
Correct. So if you're going between units, so like if you go from if you're going from the metric system to the imperial or household system, or vice versa, some metric to the imperial or imperial to metric, then you would round your answer if needed.
So what's imperial? Pounds, kilograms, and ounces?
No. Pounds, ounces, quarts, pints, cups, things like that. And you don't need to worry about quarts, pints, and cups. But pounds and ounces are your household units.
So those are the only ones that you would round with, because
those are the only ones you would round for basic, like these basic like conversions. So like down here in these questions, you would pretty much round any of these questions if necessary.
Okay, let me write that down again to make sure I get that. So could you repeat that rule you just said?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I think I have it down here. Yeah. So do not round. Basic conversions is really the biggest rule. Is so when you're going from like milligrams to micrograms, micrograms to milligrams, grams to milligrams, milligrams to grams, don't round those. Don't round those answers.
Okay, so don't round the basic conversions.
And that's usually like your first 5 questions. If it's metric to metric, do not round. But if it goes from like pounds to kilograms, then you would round. And the tell for it is if you have a repeating number. So like if you get like an answer of like 89.45454545, that's a really good tell that you need to round that number.
Okay, so only if it's pound to kilogram or if it's a repeating number. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Or if you, and like sometimes you don't need to, like, so in like, so let's just do the pounds to kilograms. So if I go 128 divided by 2.2, I'm going to get 58.18181818. So it tells you it's a repeating number and you would round that to the nearest 10th. So your answer would be 58.2.
Okay, and that's what I had. Okay.
And then if you had, let me just see something. I'm just trying to find another example that might be helpful. Yeah, like let's say you had 99 pounds. If you divided that by 2.2, you'd get 45 kilograms. So you don't need to worry about rounding or anything. You would just leave it as it is.
Now, in the packet that start with 1500, I didn't see a problem like this, like number 5, where it was, where I was rounding, where it was a basic conversion, where I would have to round.
Yeah, so, and that's why I added that to that. So like, here's what you can do. You can, we're going to, I'm going to give you this as another practice problem. Let's say this was, let's just say 35 micrograms. And convert that to milligrams. And then for this one, let's say it was 1,275 milligrams to grams. So go ahead and do those and let's see if we get the same answer.
Hello. I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if we're done with the lesson for today.
Well, we usually go to like 4:30.
Okay, because I'm sorry to say, but I think we've covered this before now. So
Yes, yeah, we've pretty much covered everything that you're going to see on your test at this point. So did you have any specific questions from any of the practice material?
no, I don't have any question.
Oh, okay, yeah, you don't, and you're not required to stick around if you don't want to, but if you do have any questions, I'll be here also for you guys next week on Tuesday and Thursday. But if you've gone through the practice test in particular, and you're getting them all right, and you don't have any questions with them, then you should be all good for your test. But if you do have any questions, just know I'm here for you.
Okay, so is it just is it conversions that just you're doing today?
I'll do whatever you want, because like I said, we covered everything that you'll see on your test already. So if there's anything that that you want to see from the practice test, or any of the questions, I'm happy to work them out with you right while we're live. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I got 1.275, and then I would round that to 1.3.
So what do you round basic unit conversions?
Well, no, yeah, I forgot. No.
No. So that's your answer. What about number 2?
Okay, 35. Okay, I didn't do that one yet.
Oh, okay.
I have to write it down. 0.35.
0.035, right?
Hold on a second. I might have did.
So this would be good just to kind of see.
So it was 35 divided by 1,000, right?
Correct. Yes.
Hold on a second. 35 divided by 1,000. I got 0.035.
Okay, good. Yeah. And then that would be your answer. You don't round that at all.
And we're not rounding because this is basic unit conversion.
You got it.
But if it was like a problem with the script and all that, and you would round.
Correct. But you would wait until the very end of the problem to do your rounding, meaning don't round, like if you're converting something, like let's say it was 1,275 milligrams, don't round that to 1.3 grams and then solve your problem. Leave it alone until the very end. You do your rounding at the very end. The only caveat to that, and that won't affect you this semester, is next semester. So second, third, and fourth semester, you'll do some weight-based calculations, and then you will want to go ahead and convert pounds to kilograms and then round to the nearest tenth before you proceed with the rest of the problem. But like I said, you don't need to worry about that now. And then, but get in the habit anytime you convert pounds to kilograms, round to the nearest tenth.
Okay, all right, thank you. Well, I'm done for today. That was the only question I had, and I had emailed that to you, but thanks for getting back to me regarding that.
Yeah, you're well. I figured I would see you today on the review. And then if I didn't, I was planning to just email you back. But I think I answered your question, so hopefully that's okay.
All right, thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Yeah, see ya. Oh, okay.